Watching this video is because you potentially care about what happens to other human beings around you, and individuals like myself who care about other people, who have stood up for other human beings and other individuals and are looking for a much more consistent life that is not presented to us in the United States. And my name is Brandon Rutland, and I am being censored on the internet. A lot of my messages and videos are being ignored, and I have a number of law enforcement agencies or agents stalking and following me around on my cell phone, following me around in my emails, following me around on the internet, and following me around at one point in public. This is a new hate crime against African Americans who are being defrauded and being segregated from society. But this video is about NSA surveillance and what it has done and allowed, and the United States government is endorsing and supporting and funding genocide, hate crime, lynching, and euthanasia on young African American males, African Americans, or brown people in general, in order to support, reinforce, and reestablish segregation, white supremacy, and the financial disparity in the United States to reinforce it. They are testing a segregation, lynching, and white supremacy weapon and system. This is a segregation tool that targets certain races and certain types of individuals. And by using the NSA's mass surveillance and mass data collection programs, the United States has an alternative way and provided an alternative system for corporations, private agencies, and government agencies to have access to this system that is being developed and use it on minority groups and persons of interest in order to censor them, segregate them, financially deprive them, and permanently impair them and sabotage their financial stability for the rest of their lives. And I'm going to say this frankly. The NSA's main focus and establishment is for censorship. That is their main goal and objective, is censorship and propaganda and controlling the media. The NSA program is not just internet surveillance. The NSA program is a three-tiered program, primarily satellite surveillance. It is a military-industrial complex of satellite communications, databases, and storage and data collection storage facilities called fusion centers. This program is a pre-crime interception system that is being developed by Germany and has become apparently a United States program as well. The two have been working together to produce this predicate pre-crime interception system because its primary function and focus is the distribution of military defense weapons and military class surveillance on civilians and the civilian populace. The importance of this is because it allows for certain individuals to be selected out of the population and targeted for domestic terrorism that is being paid for, endorsed by the United States government, private agencies, and corporations who benefit from the access of these carrier and commercial communication devices. The devices in use are radio towers and satellites and internet carriers. This also includes your landlines. They have covered all telecommunication and communication outlets that current United States citizens use, and they are keeping silent on the satellite extension of the surveillance. This is mass domestic surveillance via satellites. They are using Google Maps, satellite maps, GPS, Wi-Fi, radio towers, cell phones, and any carrier and telecommunications services such as Facebook, Twitter, MySpace, text messaging, Verizon, AT&T, Time Warner, CenturyLink, any internet carrier provider that allows for any communications from one individual to another to timestamp a communication that was sent and to give it a location. This program is intended to monitor all communications to allow for law enforcement, corporations, and private agencies the privilege of conspiring against a targeted citizen who will be introduced into eugenics or a smear campaign or defraud in order to save a financial lump sum of money, to defraud this citizen from a fair trial, fair rights, or constitutional rights, to defraud this individual out of services, to defraud minorities out of education, to defraud them out of workers' compensation, disability dues. This is for eugenics and euthanasia and white supremacy and segregation. It is also being used to trap and segregate individuals and prevent them from access to the media, to censor them. This is the NSA's main objective, to censor them and prevent them from having media access, to prevent certain races and groups from having access to the media, and to protect white supremacy once again. So what they use is the mass collection of data in order to marginalize a large group of the United States population, to disqualify them from certain services and accesses and certain rights and privileges, and in addition to the surveillance on them, to take it even further on minority groups and to disqualify them, commission felonies, and to defraud and run smear campaigns in order to profit off of acting on behalf of corporations, agencies, or conduct illegal surveillance that would defraud individuals in extra-legal and extrajudicial court systems between corporations and private agencies or contractors or the government to come to their own conclusions without fair trial and fair evidence and fair acquisition of evidence with a warrant or other. So what I'm going to use as an example is I'm going to play a video of direct evidence of what I'm explaining here. Radar, Wi-Fi, 3G, 4G, megahertz, gigahertz, linear energy transfer weapons, directed energy weapons, and signals. These cover a large range of very lethal weapons that have been under research in the military, have been under research in clinical studies, hospitals that have been working together with the military and the United States to produce a system that allows for neurological and psychological research to be conducted by the use of these signals. And the second function of these signals is as a weapon. They cause severe impairments. And if you're familiar with electromagnetic frequencies and radio frequencies, you know that they cause debilitations and things such as necrosis, cauterizing effects, and apoptosis, the degradation of cells, the destruction of your memory cells. And when exposed to these signals for long periods of time in high doses, they have catastrophic effects on the human body. For 3 years since 2012, I have been a victim of government-endorsed and supported genocide and eugenics by using alternative means, law enforcement and commission of felonies or law interception, data collection, mass surveillance, to allow agencies, private agencies, corporations to conduct illegal activity by hacking, monitoring, stalking, voyeurism, and surveillance on citizens that allows for them to protect their assets, financial assets, and defraud, construe, commit money laundering, and sting investigations and illegal surveillance on citizens intended to defraud them, marginalize them, and discriminate against them. I really encourage everybody to watch this video. I have collected direct proof and spent the last 3 years of my life trying to research and expose the crime. But unfortunately, for the past 3 years, I've been getting harassment in emails, harassment by cell phone, harassment over the landline, harassment via the technology that I'm explaining to you. And the full extent of it is that they are testing how far they can violate human rights and get away and potentially use the system for genocide and eugenics in the future without the public's consent or anyone's permission. And so they have devised a system that allows for it to occur, and the public, the general public, just refrains from acting because it has a huge stigma behind it that I will explain. It is dependent on a defraud system that makes individuals look like they are lying, and it is dependent on censorship. It is dependent on the United States noose they have on the media right now, preventing all journalists and any journalism media right now from exposing the eugenics and genocide program running in the United States right now, or exposing the mass domestic surveillance and NSA surveillance material, because they need to protect the interests of the United States involving eugenics. So in this clip, you can hear radiological dispersals sounding off in the background that I'm getting ready to show as evidence here. These are radiological dispersals in linear energy weapons making these sounds. These are electronic devices in the home, and these weapons are also being used on myself. They are following me around using Sting, and no matter what area or location I go to, they're following me around via radio cell phone towers, and they are using satellites to use these weapons in the general vicinity to track and monitor me, in addition to harass, torture, and abuse, physically abuse and sexually abuse me with the stimulation from the signals. Now hopefully you watched both of them and you can see that I have recorded very high tall raises in the video. Each and every one of those is an electronic device in the home that is being assaulted by external signals. These are radio frequency signals and satellite signals that are turned into a ballistic military defense weapon. This is a weapon that can damage the electronics in the home, damage the equipment permanently, and disrupt all electrical sources of power in a home. It can also be used, and what it is for and intended for is a weapon. It is being used on minority men, young African American males, to give them severe neurological and physiological impairments through the brain in specific areas of the body. It is being researched and developed right now as a eugenics weapon, a eugenics tool, and a genocide tool. So the United States has realized, or white supremacists have realized, that they need to stalk, harass, and terrorize African Americans on the internet to prevent them from establishing businesses over the internet, because it is a free resource and things such as entertainment are easy to accomplish on the internet.